generally meant to be a very elite, exclusive kind of thing, right?
Then if they invite you to join, Terrence, they say first year, we like your podcast, you come and join us.
Okay lah, that's okay lah. Yeah. Then
the second year, when you have to pay,
then sorry, I'm out already.
suddenly you like it so much, you're like, hey shit, this is fucking cool, man. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old humor.
Good old humor, man.
Yeah.
How was the weekend, man?
Interesting weekend, definitely.
Interesting weekend.
I guess there'll be more people understand why lah.
Yeah, within the next few episodes, hopefully.
Next few episodes. But interesting weekend. But again, this is the segment that everyone hates. Is the one Shiok weather.
Yeah, one Shiok weather.
Weather was awesome. I have to say.
Great,
I just loved being out. Even the evenings and everything. Like I felt like different. This is a different country, man.
Yeah. I'm surprised no one is posting on our Reddit also about the awesome weather.
You mean
take some photos and shit. I actually went for a long ass walk on Saturday night with my wife. It was fucking great.
Yeah.
And just it's just nice. It's just so nice. Yeah.
Maybe because people are out there enjoying the weather. That's why they're not posting on Reddit.
Or maybe it's really just the two of us who are having such a good time talking about weather.
That's why we thought about this podcast. Yeah. It's just the two of us talking about this over lunch and nobody else wants to hear. And that's why we started a podcast. Maybe we need to do a spin-off. The Yala butt weather or something.
Yeah. But I mean, come January or like February, we'll be bitching about the heat again.
Correct. Yeah. But that's why I said just enjoy it. Just talk about it all you want.
Yeah.
Now, and it will irritate some people, but it's just par for the course.
Par for the course, man.
Par for the course.
One thing I realized over the weekend is how much I hate wine glasses.
Why?
Because
is this like something that you like happened to you, then you thought it's damn funny, then you then be a damn good stand-up thing, and then you just need to insert it somehow into the podcast? Because what does wine glasses have to fucking do with the weather?
It's the happened on the weekend. And I won't deny when I was washing the wine glasses last night, I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk about this on the podcast.
I was like, you can do it, but it just needs to be a bit more subtle, Harish. You don't like
I cannot. I was
practice.
waiting.
Yeah, you're trying to practice stand up like in the middle of a podcast.
There's no real punchline. It's just that wine glasses are just annoying to wash.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's the reason.
Yeah.
Why?
It's just so fragile.
Okay.
Don't you find it?
Yeah, they are fragile.
Yeah.
But that's life, right? Life is fragile.
It feels unnecessarily fragile.
Yeah. But that's why it feels like such a premium experience drinking wine, right?
I mean, drink, but then washing it is a bitch, lah.
Why was so difficult?
It's just because in the sink, when you want, like, sometimes when you're washing and all, you just want to pile plates and all like this. The wine glass, you have to be so, like, just careful.
Be gentle, you have to be gentle with things.
I've already broken a few glasses at home already.
Okay. Get those without stems. Get those without stems.
No, it's the one that I broke were the ones without stem.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
that's you. That's all you already. The stemless. You tell me the stem ones, okay, I understand.
No, because the thing breaks not at the stem one. It's the glass is so thin and like fragile.
Oh, then maybe it's the quality of the glass.
No, I think with the stem, maybe it's a visual reminder to be careful.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, whereas the others, you take it for granted. But yeah, that's the end of my stand-up set.
Yeah, that was not very funny.
That's why I never said anything about a payoff or anything. It was not a punchline or anything.
I just wanted to preemptively call you out for like
you know me well.
Swerving the conversation just like that.
You know me well.
But,
I mean, in some way, it's still the weekend that I had the realization.
But actually, it's not that far from stuff we're talking about later. So
the fragility of life.
I mean that, yes, but also the whole elitist things about elitist things that people do.
Yeah.
Well, that was hard to come up. Yeah,
elitist things that people do.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
But that's more the second topic, like the first topic.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean we'll get into it. But before we jump into it, what do we always say, Terrence?
If you enjoy this podcast, if you like listening to us talk about weather and a lot of other things, please follow us, subscribe on all the different platforms, all the different podcast platforms, Instagram, TikTok, and especially on YouTube as well, which is where I think a growing community is there's a growing community as well. Yeah. But yeah, that's what we want you to do. And tell one person about this podcast.
And if you want to work with us, just reach us at contact@ministryoffunny.com. And yeah, we would love to hear from you guys.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. But first topic is not that fun to talk about, but I mean, we still have to talk about it.
Yeah.
And what is this topic?
It is the update on the case of the horrible River Valley High School attack that happened in 2021. Last week, on 1st December, the sentencing was announced for the person in question. And yeah, that he was sentenced to 16 years jail for killing his fellow student with an axe. I remember when we recorded the podcast about this topic back in 2021. I mean, it was just so horrible and surreal to be talking about a murder like this in Singapore.
Yep.
And I mean, over the past 2 years, we've seen announcements of that the person has been caught, the trial is ongoing. His parents sent an apology letter to the victim's parents, and the victim's parents actually accepted and forgave the murderer, right? But I mean, with this announcement, there's been a range of reactions towards this, and that's what we're going to unpack today.
Yeah. Very, very tragic case. I almost can't believe that it was 2 years ago already. Because I think it was such a jarring case, right?
Yeah.
And it happened in the middle of COVID when everyone was cooped up at home and kind of stressed and everything. Right?
Yeah, it happened on 19th July 2021.
Yeah.
Where a 13-year-old Sec 1 student was struck with an axe and killed by a student who was 16 years old at the time, secondary 4.
His name is, the victim's name was, the boy's name was Ethan Han.
Ethan Han.
I think the parents asked for the gag order to be lifted on his name, right?
Yeah.
So that they could really talk about him, freely, especially if they want to commemorate his life and everything.
Yeah, and also for him to be remembered.
To be remembered,
and not just be a nameless victim.
Correct, yeah. And I've been in that circle before of the infant loss and everything. And actually that's a very big thing that parents of, people who have lost kids or what, is a very big thing. Remembering their names. And, there's a very concerted effort within these communities to just say the name of your child. No matter how young or how old, if you've lost a child, just say the name, because that's the one thing that you never want to happen, that the world forgets, that you had this child before. So I totally understand why they did it. And I think it's a very gruesome case. It's a very unpleasant thing to be remembered by. But I think for parents, it also gives them just a little more sense of closure, being able to just say his name in public as well.
Yeah. And since I think the gag order was only lifted last week, right?
Yeah.
During the hearing, right? The sentencing. The gag order of the perpetrator hasn't been lifted. So yeah, we don't know his name. We don't know his family's name. But yeah, it's just so tragic, and I don't know whether there's been a case as known as this, because there have been murders in Singapore, but in recent times, it's uncovered years after, right?
No, and I think child on child violence
yeah.
is very rare.
Yeah. And last week, it was all in the newspapers detailing the sequence of events that led to the death. Essentially, what happened was that the perpetrator wanted to commit suicide. He had tried committing suicide twice before that, and failed. And he was found to have entered depression 6 months before the attack. So his conclusion was that he wanted to be killed by the police, and to do that, to kill some students, so that the police would kill him. And it's actually a thing, no? It's called suicide by cop.
Yeah.
And he admitted to watching videos and getting desensitized to watching people harm themselves and all. And even on the day itself, there was a lot of plans put in place. he bought 3 weapons online. He sent it for sharpening because he deemed it to be not sharp enough before the day. He tried on a few occasions. He brought a caution tape, the black and yellow tape. And I think when he actually ended up doing the attack, he saw the student go in, and he came out and put that tape to cordon off the area and prevent other students from coming in. And apparently he even apologized to the victim halfway through the attack. And then after that, he came out, he asked 2 groups of students to call the police. He admitted to a teacher, they called the police, came, and he was arrested. So, I mean, some of the newspaper articles go in very gruesome detail. Then, at the end of it, he pleaded guilty to a charge of culpable homicide. Because he originally got a murder charge, but it was reduced. With some of the mitigating factors being his depression and mental state.
Yep.
So now, I mean, just looking at comments online, there's definite sentiment that 16 years is too short.
Yeah.
And I've seen some people mention that with remission, is that the term? Like
I think so.
Yeah. So where the sentence can be reduced based on good behavior.
Yeah.
Taking into account, which I think in Singapore is you can reduce it by 1/3.
Yeah.
Taking into account he's been in jail for the past 2 years, that means 2/3 of 16 years is about 10 years and 6 months, I think, minus the 2 years, so about 8 years. He might be able to walk.
Yeah, before he turns 30 years old.
Yeah. So I mean, as you were reading this, looking at the facts, looking at the sentencing and all, like what did you feel?
I mean, it's very tragic.
Yeah.
But I think the bigger yalabad thing that a lot of people are discussing is a sentence like that too short, right? Compared to what the sentence is for drug trafficking versus what the sentence is for drunk driving. In fact, a lot of discussions are coming up about what the penalty is for murder charge versus a drunk driving charge where you actually kill someone and everything, right? I mean, but I think that's a whole other discussion. But a lot of people are saying it's kind of crazy that, I mean, at least people are pointing out that a very young man's life was taken away. A whole life ahead of him. He was only 13, right? Whereas, this kid who was the one who wanted to commit suicide in the first place, end up he's not walking away, but he'll still be out before he's even 30 years old, which is still by any measure still quite young, right? And is that fair enough punishment? Or if not a punishment, will it have a deterrent effect on people doing stuff like that? Will it prevent him from ever doing something like that in public again to someone else? I think there's a lot about the philosophy of punishment that is going on in the discussions right now. And then the mitigating factors of his depression and his age, where, he's now 18, but he was 16 when it happened and everything. All these things are sort of coming together, and people are just having a big debate about it online.
Yeah.
But yourself, what's your immediate thoughts when you saw this?
I mean, same thing, okay, even if you take into account that he was suicidal, he was depressed. Apparently, he has a significant family history of mental illness on his dad's side. And he had a adjustment reaction. It does feel like, oh shit, 8 years. And because he has a gag order on him, his identity is not known, right?
Yeah.
I assume that gag order would remain. It's not say once he becomes 18 or 21, the identity will be released, right?
Because the crime was committed when he was a juvenile. Yeah.
So technically, years down the road, his name is not even associated with his crime. And it just feels like he will be given a chance to start his life afresh.
Yeah.
And it's tricky because on one hand, the thing about the death penalty is are we who are we to take away the life of someone, right? Does it really be you take away someone's life, we take away your life? I think there's a lot of reasons why that shouldn't be the case, and as far as possible, the death penalty should be abolished. But in this sort of case, yeah, it is a bit hard, even for like me to think like, okay, even like let's say there's no remission, right? 16 years, I don't know, it still feels, is it enough? Because yeah, the parole thing and all, there are things that need to happen before that lah.
Yeah.
But if he's sentenced when he's 18 and he's already been 2 years, for the 16 years, that means 14 years more lah.
And some people are speculating lah online that if he comes out, he'll be past F straight away. It means he'll be ineligible to really serve in the military, because the last thing you want is for someone with a criminal record like this to hold a gun, right?
Yeah.
So, or it'll be a vocation that doesn't go anywhere near weapons and all these things, right? So generally, those are you're mainly confined to administrative things, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole thing just feels like not say injustice, right? Because I think at the end of the day, I think the maximum is also 20 years in prison or something for this charge of culpable homicide.
Yeah, culpable homicide. But murder, there's life imprisonment.
Murder,
And I think there was a case of like a helper, a Burmese helper who stabbed her employer 26 times till death. And yeah, she was given jail for life. And she was only spared the death because she was 17 at the time of the incident.
Yeah.
So when I was reading that case, she stabbed the person, the elderly woman, 26 times. I think that one was basically documented as the victim threatened to send her back to her employment agent, and she stabbed the victim 26 times and fled.
Yeah.
So I think taking into account all that, it is like first degree murder, which I guess is the death sentence. So it's not say Singapore doesn't imprison for life for murder. It does happen.
Yeah.
But in this case, the mitigating factors were so strong that it was reduced. And I think the defense of the victim is even fighting for 5 years. Because they said they will submit an appeal because and I say in air quotes, the sentence is crushing lah.
But actually, I'm just reading that maybe he could have been sentenced to life imprisonment with caning, or imprisonment for up to 20 years and a fine of caning.
So he still could be lah. But that's for culpable homicide.
Culpable homicide. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but then correct us if we're wrong somewhere lah. But the prosecution themselves asked for a sentencing of 12 to 16 years, right? So I think it was within the range of what the prosecution was also asking for. But I think that there's a lot of debate online. There are a lot of people who are like, the sentiment is like, wow, fuck no, man, like how can you let this person back into society, when he's, in his late 20s or something, like, isn't that like ticking time bomb waiting to happen, right? Someone who has had mental health issues and then goes to prison for the rest of his formative years of his youth, doesn't like will he be ready to come to rejoin society after missing such a big chunk of the years outside, right? And aren't you setting him up for failure in some way? Like
with a long sentence?
No, by putting him back out in the public again, after like 8 years or something like that, and then the chance of him doing something similar but in a different setting, maybe in a workplace or something like that. People are saying, isn't that going to happen? Like, is it obvious that that's going to happen? What do you think of that?
I think that one, I don't really agree with that lah. Because, okay, so based on the clinical assessment and everything that you see about depression, it is something that can be treated, right? So I know they say the analogy is like if your body can be physically unwell, your mind can be unwell as well. So that also sounds like, okay, if you take care and if you are given, you might have a predisposition to depression, but it can be treated with medication, with therapy, So I do believe that people can come out of it and have a normal life lah. And I think that whole reintegration thing applies to anyone with a long sentence, right? Not just people who have killed other people. But I think it's just so it's on that specific thing, I think actually it shouldn't matter how long someone is in.
So your bigger thing is it because it's not a long enough deterrent to deter other people from doing the same crime?
Yeah.
So you're saying that people see, oh, if I do something like that, actually I don't go to jail for that long.
Yeah, which I mean, I don't know. Like that's why it's touchy, right? Because like now with more info about mental health and depression, if it's something really that they cannot like control or affects their cognition that much, then okay, that might be grounds to reduce the sentence. But because it's such a new area or such an unfamiliar area, it feels like, oh, it can be reduced to that extent. Then what if people just use that as an outlet, and just like you use that as a way to, I don't know, seek vengeance when you just pay 8 years of your life or 12 years. I don't know. So that's internally is like that. But I also know there's many arguments against that lah. For you?
Yeah, I guess going back to what the philosophy of punishment is right? Are we just trying to deter? I mean, obviously trying to deter the person from doing something like that again, but also to deter others from doing something similar. I mean, in totality, 8 to 10 years doesn't sound like a lot, but it's still a significant amount of time, right? And then the other part of it is, I mean, some kind of vengeance, right? There's an element of vengeance when it comes to punishment as well, right? That you did something wrong to someone, so an eye for an eye kind of thing, lah. And in this case, I guess because it was really a young child who was so violently killed that a lot of people are feeling that it's not that there isn't that element of fairness lah when it comes to serving the time for what was taken away from somebody, like a whole lifetime basically, and a family also forever scarred. Not just all 8 to 10 years. This family, they're still. I'm guessing the parents are still not that old, right? Maybe 50 at the very most, right? They're going to have the next 20, 30 years of dealing with this as well, right? The trauma that all the friends and family of Ethan had to go through. So in that sense, I actually feel it does feel quite like a quite light for everything. I can't speak so much for whether it really deters people or whether he has the potential to reoffend again, right? Because I think those are a lot of projections into the future, but all I can really think of is for the family of Ethan and all that now, right?
Yeah. So you're basing that on 16 years, not 8 years, right? Because 8 years is almost hypothetical.
Yeah.
16 years.
Imagining good behavior and everything, yeah.
Also, you're saying if you're not sure whether it's a good enough deterrent if it's 8 years or even with 16 years.
Not deterrent. I think it's just the length of the sentence in general. Even 16 years, given that that there's a chance for it to be reduced because of for good behavior and all that, right? Yeah.
Because I mean, even when he was being held for trial, he was allowed to complete his O levels as a private candidate. So when you look at that, you're like, wow.
But I guess there's a question, right? Do you, like what you said, like people can get better.
Yeah.
They can, repent and take responsibility for the mistakes that they make during that time in prison as well. So is it a bad thing that we are allowing also who is also a child, he's also a kid, right?
Yeah.
We're allowing a young now he's a young man. We're allowing a young man, giving him a second chance at life after he made a very big mistake. And should we do our best not to be so vengeful, right? In our response to him, because his family also has to live with that, above their heads. I think his social life is going to be very, very different, very fragmented after everything as well, right? So if in this very unfortunate case, one life has been lost already, right? Do you really want another young person's life to also
You destroy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, lah. I mean, that is a question. And I would like to think also that as a society, we should really try to, how you say, like, there is a redemption. There is a redemption arc for most things.
Yeah.
And that we should do our best to take care of the people who like fall through the cracks, lah, and even make like the stupid mistakes.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those things that it sounds good in theory until like it happens to you or someone you know, lah.
Correct. Yeah.
Because this one, I mean, like, I totally agree with what you said that he was a child when he did this. It's a horrible thing he did, but giving the benefit of the doubt that he was really under some mental distress and he fucked up, lah. He fucked up. Should we just how you say, like, sentence him to an eternity of suffering? I don't know.
Cast him out, basically.
Yeah, cast him out. I don't know, because like what you said, his family must be going through like horrible times, and the fact that they could still accept just reach out to the family of the victim, and their whole lives have been overturned also. So I don't know, man. And like what you said also, it was the prosecutors themselves who recommended a max of 16 years.
Yeah.
So technically the judge did take that recommendation. But then for the prosecutor to recommend 16 years also, then I assume that like the mitigating factors were strong enough.
And I think there was also a lot of friends and family of the person who they came and wrote letters in support of him also.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I did want to also not saying that it's the same thing, right? But I don't know if do you ever watch that Netflix show Dahmer, about Jeff Dahmer, the serial killer?
No.
So that one's interesting because they approached it from the angle of understanding the serial killer's family and his upbringing also. So they also follow a little bit of how the family coped with discovering that your son was a serial killer, that your son did terrible things, and what life was like after that. So it's, even for the murderers, the killer's family, it was a very, very difficult process. I'm sure it is a very difficult process here, right? But also the family of Dahmer's victims as well were also, they're dragged through hell, basically, all of them, right?
Yeah.
Through the details of the murders and everything. So, I really have to say that this Ethan's family, even taking a meeting or even allowing the offender's family to speak to them and to come out and say that they forgive him, and then now to like, okay, can you lift the gag order on my son so that people can remember him and all? It takes a lot of strength, a lot of courage to do it, right?
Yeah.
So you have to really commend them for that, yeah. But I don't know, man. A lot of people online just really angered by the length of this sentence.
Yeah. And like, you're talking about the parents and all. There was this one article that I came across years ago, 2019, about this mother who has kind of adopted the man who killed her son. Her son was killed in a drive-by shooting by this guy, and years later they somehow connected, and he accepted her. She accepted him as her son, and adopted him as a son. So, she also talks about like the need for forgiveness, and literally she said, and I quote, "I forgave him, and the only way I was able to live on and be present for my surviving son was to forgive him." So when you listen to that, you're like, okay, like how like sometimes when you're super angry about something, the best thing you can do is actually to let go, and move on, right? I'm not saying that it's the same thing in this case, because this is like, you know, like some petty thing in your life, you let go and move on, is very different from this where a family member has been lost. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. I'm glad there is a debate going on about the length of the sentence and all that, because I think it's something that we always need to be thinking about. And yeah, like with the times also, sometimes punishments need to be updated, need to be changed. And now with more awareness of like mental health and stuff, I don't know, it's just something that we cannot just leave as a stagnant thing that was set 20, 30 years ago and just let it be.
Yeah. Remember the last episode of the podcast, we're talking about how COVID was such an unprecedented thing for a lot of people, especially young people. Playgrounds were barricaded and you know, they just couldn't get out there. I mean, it really shows you that and there's ensuing trauma, you know, from that. I mean, the last episode we talked about the trauma of like people seeing it and getting bad memories, but literally being cooped at home can have very, very difficult have very bad, very negative impacts on young people's behaviors, right? I'm guessing this kid didn't have anyone to talk to, whether at home or outside or what, and it made it worse by COVID, obviously. So all you can say is like, if you really got to reach out to people. You know, don't take their word for it. That, I mean, do talk to them, ask them how they are and things like that. Even the people around you, check in with them once in a while. You never know, like a simple hello actually could be the most important thing that happens to them that day, right?
Yeah.
Just keeps them in check. Yeah.
But I mean, on that note, apparently the school was aware of the offender's emotional, behavioral, and learning problems.
Yeah.
And that they had taken all appropriate actions, and they had advised his parents to seek external help. But he would not share what bothered him and refused help.
Correct.
So I mean, that's not saying that people shouldn't try. All the more, you need to be on high alert for people around you, because it is a worrying trend of people almost like having breakdowns.
Yeah.
I think just today, like 4th December, there was another article of another mom and child who was found at the base of a Gimo block, right?
Yeah. And then there are people on the MRT trying to open the doors while the train is moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what the like clearly, like the stress, the anxiety and all is getting to people. Clearly people are reacting in a certain way. And I mean, the heartening thing is that after this horrible attack, there have been a lot more counselors that have been deployed. And like certain, even like the certain parts of the GCN O and A levels have been were removed. I think back in 2021.
Yeah.
So then there's more teacher counselors. There's a lot more attention given to mental health, especially in schools. Yeah. So it's just
and it's tough.
Chilling.
It's tough for the schools. I mean, you really cannot. It's very, very hard for teachers. Nowadays, teachers, they have like 35, 40 students in class. For them to be really, understand every single student's mental health conditions and all, it's tough. So I'm hoping that the school protocols have all been, tightened up a bit. Like literally, like if a kid is having trouble, coping with things, maybe they should not be in school for that period and all.
But to what extent? Because this perpetrator, he hid the weapons in a badminton bag, no? So then I was thinking, oh shit, should there be more checks on students?
That means like US like that, like scans.
Yeah, but that is also something you don't want to go down, right? Can you imagine like school, every time you enter and go out, there's like security guards and stuff, and it just feels so dystopian, right?
Yeah.
That's scary, because on one hand, you think if this guy was carrying a bag around with 3 weapons, wow, there was no way of figuring that out.
Yeah. But yeah, that's why that if they have a history of mental health issues, really, maybe they really should be barred from going to school for that period. I think there needs to be that rule. Because
so you think like just like almost like homeschool or something, or take the lessons from home or something,
or even just be seeking professional help, like really forced to seek professional help. I mean, I don't know his family conditions and all that, right? But sometimes for parents and all, it's very hard to have the kid just be at home. You also worry about the kid just being at home alone or something like that while you're working and all that, right? So they'll say, oh, maybe it's more harmless to just send them to school. Then hopefully they'll see their friends, play with their friends, they'll snap out
Be
of it.
taken care of.
Yeah, be taken care of. At least there's an adult presence. But the truth is, schools also only can do that much, right? Without it, like what you said, turning into a dystopian thing where there's like metal detectors on the entrances at school. So it's difficult, but that's why it's really about the protocols and ensuring that your teachers are also not overworked to the point that they don't have time to attend to these kind of very serious issues when they see them in their students, right? But it's tough, it's very tough. I think teacher's job is really very difficult. Yeah.
Oh, crazy, yeah. Crazy.
But would like to hear what people think about the sentence and everything that unfolds from there.
Because there is a lot of chatter going on.
Yeah.
And let us know your thoughts on Reddit.
So just now we were talking a little bit about Harish's wine glasses. It's a
sounds damn petty now.
It does, right?
It does.
Yeah. Harish's wine glasses and how he hates stemless wine glasses.
Just general thin glasses.
General thin glasses, yeah.
I fucking hate it.
And there's probably it would affect a very similar demographic of people who frequent this place also, right? And this place, unfortunately, is also it's going to be a vestige of the past, if anything. Yeah, and what is this place where people probably also drink from wine glasses?
Are you suggesting that I frequent country clubs?
Oh, no. I'm just saying that wine glasses. Definitely these people love wine.
You can
right?
just not be a country club member and still have wine glasses.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
In fact, if you have wine glasses, chances are you don't need to go to a club or a bar to have wine.
Yes, that's true.
Yep. But it is just a general discussion about how country clubs in Singapore are facing a few challenges these days.
Yeah.
Because apparently younger folk are losing interest in the prestige factor that country clubs bring. Yeah, so I mean, this whole thing about country clubs, all I remember growing up is, there are certain uncles or aunties who have country club memberships.
Yeah.
And you go there and it's like a fucking resort where you have restaurants, you have gym, you have swimming pool, and if you're a member of one country club, you get access to country clubs in Malaysia and shit like that.
Yeah.
So even now I have some relatives who have country club memberships. But it's just a segment of society that I'm not the most well versed about in. You?
Yeah, I mean, same as you relatives who have country club memberships also. But me myself not member of any. Don't ever see myself being a member of any of these. If anything, I know our generation has a very different take on these social clubs and all that. And so it's something that probably will be something that you will look back in the past and say, oh yeah, tea parties, that kind of thing that people talk about that existed once but not anymore.
But our generation or the generation after us?
After, yeah.
After us,
our
because
generation
our
still have a bit.
Still got, right?
Still got.
Yeah, I know some friends listening to this who frequent country clubs. Not to say it's wrong. Not to say it's wrong. But it just feels like it's a vestige of the past.
Yeah. I do have some friends who are in country clubs and they were still actively recruiting amongst their friends. That means fellow alumni of the schools and everything.
Because even country clubs, one thing that caught the news recently was Raffles Town Club, right? Where it was announced that the government will take back the land currently occupied by the club when its lease expires in October 2026.
Yeah.
And to become members of some of these clubs, the price can be from a few K to a few 100K.
Yeah.
Right? I think Sentosa Golf Club is 500,000 for Singaporeans.
Yeah.
800,000 for foreigners.
Wow.
And you play golf.
Yeah.
Amongst other things.
Yeah.
But when you say you are not part of a country club, why not, Terence? You can go meet your similar like-minded friends. You don't have to deal with crowds.
Yeah.
You are in the club, people know that you are there.
But nowadays it's all about inclusivity, right?
Is it?
Everybody wants to be seen as inclusive and and like woke and open to everyone. So it's like now the cool people they hang out at Tiong Bahru Market. You know, they have a hangout lah, right? That's much more like low key, not so ostentatious and everything. Like the days of like, you know, opening bottles at the club and all that, that's so passé already lah, right? So yeah, I mean, young people these days is very different. They want very different things from what the older generations want.
But there's still new age social clubs, right?
Correct, yeah.
Right? There's 1880.
Yeah.
There's a Mandela Club.
Yeah.
There's the Straits Clan.
Yeah.
So in some way, so fundamentally, do you have an issue with a club where you have to meet certain requirements or pay certain monies to be part of the club?
I have no issues with a club lah. I think a club of people who are joined by, you know, shared interests is a healthy thing lah, right? I mean, that's the basis of a lot of things that in life lah, right? You join online clubs, so you join a Discord community or whatever lah. You know, those are all clubs.
Subreddit.
Yeah, our Yellow Bud Reddit subreddit is a club in a way also. You know, bring in a certain mindset. You come with a certain interest and expectation of yourself. You know, what I have a problem with is that a lot of these older country clubs essentially are sitting on a lot of land for their golf courses, lah, right? I think it shocked me when I saw that the figure is 2% of Singapore's land is currently golf courses. And just that might not seem like a lot as a number, but if you consider that our airports and seaports and everything in total take up only 6%, that means like, yeah, the golf courses essentially are 1/3 of all our essential freight and passenger areas like, right, airports and seaports and all that. 1/3 of that is actually the golf course, what is being used for golf courses also. And golf courses, you know that they're not fitting a lot of people on them. They're very exclusive there. You know, and Singapore, we literally are talking about creating Long Island to create more space for housing for everyone. We are closing Singapore Turf Club because we need to create more residential room for everyone also, you know? So how can a golf course be occupying that much space relative to the essential services around there? Yeah, that's the part that I have a bit more problem with, especially in Landscar Singapore.
And I mean, but then, because even from what I understand, just at a high level, these clubs also work in different ways, right? Some own the land, some lease the land, right? So then if they lease the land, if they own the land, and they don't break any rules, what's wrong with that, Terence? Because the land also has a price, right?
Correct.
If they can cover that price, if there are people willing to pay that price, then why not?
No, but then it's coming more from an urban planning standpoint already, right? Where if you are the urban planner and you have, as the government, you have a right to like rezone land or take back land, you know, even if someone owns it or something like that, then, you know, where are the places that you go for first, knowing that you need more land for housing. Singapore Turf Club is really very clear that they are doing that already, right? Now, yeah, it seems like these country clubs are next also, especially those that, and they're not even like necessarily taking back the land to create public housing, right? Because this Raffles Town Club is in a very what is known as a very rich area of Singapore, like Bukit Timah area and all, right? So there probably will be more private residential land, but at least what you can say is that it's still creating more living space for people here who already complain that it's very dense already, right? Compared to what a golf course is, it's really just a recreational thing for rich people,
Yeah, I think like I don't like the word club lah.
Oh, really?
It's just one of those words that I think, like what you said, like a Discord channel or Reddit, they're all clubs.
Yeah.
It's just a word club. It's a bit annoying.
You don't like go clubbing. Is that your thing? Is it because you didn't like clubbing? That's why, is it?
No way. That word club is still like, that sort of clubbing, I'm okay.
Okay.
It's just the like club lah. You know, this is a club. Oh, you go to my club or your club? It just feels like there's that whole, like maybe not so like the exclusive lah, a bit too elitist lah.
Okay.
A bit too elitist. And and I think there's just more like a sense that you know, like how we're saying the two Singapores now and all that. This is just one of those things that okay. With that being said, I can understand why people would want to hold on to their memberships. I know one friend of mine, he has a membership to one of the clubs in town, and he said by parking there, he actually saves money in the long term because he has a lot of meetings around the town area.
Yeah.
And then he also gets credits and like access to use the co-working space and all that.
Yeah.
So that I can see. So I think the biggest issue just from a practical point of view would be the golf courses.
So the more modern ones you also don't like because they're club.
I mean, modern ones, I think it's okay. I think it's okay. Because they don't take up huge swaths of space also, right?
Yeah, they take up building variables,
if they're bringing together people with a shared interest and all, then by all means go ahead.
Yeah.
By all means go ahead. And if you can use the resources, the co-working spaces, the gym and all that, and you just, because I mean, even now, signing up to a gym is not cheap.
Yeah.
Right? Signing up to a lot of these things in isolation is not cheap. So you can get one that puts it all together, why not? You know?
Yeah. And those I think those, but those clubs are still very exclusive. Talking about the modern clubs. They have like almost like very fraternity like processes of getting in. Like you got to meet people and then they interview you and they'll talk to you and then they'll let you know if you get through and things like that.
Like a job, Terrence. Job also, you meet people, then you
yeah, but this one you're like paying money to do it. You're paying money to be interviewed, to be put in front of a panel and all. You still have to pay dues for it. It's not like you won the lottery or something, you know. So it's still generally meant to be a very elite, exclusive kind of thing, right?
Then if they invite you to join, Terrence, they say first year, you know, we like your podcast, you come and join us.
Okay that's okay yeah. Then
the second year when you have to pay,
then sorry, I'm out already.
Suddenly you like it so much, you're like, hey shit, this is fucking cool, man.
If there's some intrinsic value to like what you said, like parking or facilities like gym membership,
just connection Terrence, human connection.
Possible also credits, you know, like a very good bar or a very good restaurant. Maybe there is. It's nice to kind of like if you need to have a meeting or why don't we meet this place where you know it's not as crowded and all these things, right? Rather compared to public. I still see that there are people who will pay for this kind of thing.
And the interesting thing is the membership is also like a free market, right?
Yeah.
There's a market price. So
Yeah.
you buy it at a time when demand is low and suddenly your club like becomes damn popular, you can actually sell it for a profit.
Yeah.
So that in some way is interesting, but on top of that, you still pay a monthly, yearly thing.
Yeah, correct.
So would you prefer if Singapore got none of these clubs?
No. I think having these clubs,
like the old school or the new school?
The new school ones, I think are more interesting, right? You know, if it's not your thing, don't join them. Whether they invite you or not, you know, it doesn't matter. Just stand by your principles. Don't need to join them. But the bigger ones, the ones with the golf courses and all, that's where I'm like, wow, there's a lot of space that could have been parks, recreational areas for the general public, all that's being hoarded by someone, you know, from a era when maybe land wasn't that scarce, right? When we didn't have such limitations on how much land we have available.
But you never felt the compulsion to take up golf?
I like the game. I've played it a few times.
Is it? You like the game?
Yeah, I like the game.
How have you played it? You mean like
I've because I think last time when I was in the corporate world, all that there'll be this.
You went for golf?
Yeah, like corporate day out kind of thing, and then they'll bring us all to a golf course and just play, Yeah. So the sport itself is fun. I like the sport. But you know, I think when you're talking about playing in other countries, all that, there's a lot more space, right?
Yeah.
But here it's competing with a lot of other interests, with like the availability of a park and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's a very different kind of different feelings towards it, definitely. Yeah.
I like going to the driving range. I've been there a few times, but I've never been on a golf course.
You've never been on a golf course?
Never been on a golf. I don't know whether I like it.
I mean, but if you like the sport itself, just it's like a skill, right?
Yeah.
And then you hit already, then you walk, and then
so when you went there, you could just hit, no problem. You could drive.
Yeah, pretty much.
with no training or anything. Or
No training,
getting used to it.
no training. Yeah, just going with my colleagues. Back then, I was in my 20s and everything. This was this is not in Singapore, this was in the US.
Oh, I see.
So much more, they're just much more laissez-faire about it. Okay, just do it, you know. As in, I think obviously some people were part of members of that club and they probably paid for to have that company event there. But the fact that they had a bunch of like 20-somethings like drunk and just roaming around a golf course on golf carts and everything tells you they're quite laissez-faire about the whole thing. Not like here, probably the security will be tackling you if you try to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe golf is not a sport for Singapore, is it essentially?
For land in Singapore.
For land in
for
Singapore.
the limited space. Unless we go and reclaim more land and then have golf courses there.
Unless we also make golf courses like football fields, like with synthetic grass and all.
Oh, yeah. Then it won't be so nice.
Then mixed use golf course. Mixed use golf course. Yeah. Especially like this is like a week after the void deck was barricaded from playing to prevent kids from playing football, right?
Yeah, correct. That's right.
Interesting,
Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, I don't know. Like if anyone is listening and is a fervent supporter of like country clubs or like your own experience about how country clubs have really improved your life or provided you with a lot of intrinsic value, just hit us up, man.
But for you, you rather not have any clubs at all.
No.
Clubs,
No. I'm okay with clubs.
Community club, okay.
Yeah, no, I'm okay with clubs. It's just I think for me the main thing is the golf course, the usage of land.
Okay.
You can still be a club like elitist club, whatever, but because you do your thing, you know, like you the land, if you can afford the rental, the purchase, you do your thing. But the allocation of land here, golf courses it's just ridiculous the land they take.
Yeah. And nowadays we laugh about it, but you go to those community clubs, those big hubs, right? They really got a lot of facilities in there, man.
Like Tampines Hub.
Oh, yeah. All those are huge, man. So I don't see anything that you can't find elsewhere. I mean, that you must go to a country club for, right? Other than exclusivity.
Just so you don't have to deal with other people.
Yeah, but
people like me, you don't have to deal with people like me.
Now what to do? I'm one of those inclusive ones.
Is it? Yeah, inclusive. Inclusive, man.
Yeah. But speaking of inclusive clubs, our Yalabat community
open to anyone. No membership fee.
No membership
or at least
fee.
not yet.
Other than just expecting you to come with a mindset of openness. Right?
Yeah, correct.
But what is your one Shiok comment?
Wait, would you like to go first?
Mine's actually from YouTube. Our last episode 463, where one of the commenters, Hello Ira, said, "Hi, I'm a new listener from your Spotify podcast since 3 months ago. I really love every single joke you guys make, and it feels way better than listening to radio stations with the broadcaster in Singapore. I don't even want to say the name. But you guys sound more unbiased and real than other hosts I listen to. Your conversation sounds like what average Singaporeans would talk about during lunchtime. In fact, it's much more knowledgeable than that. Haha." Yeah. So, shout out to Hello Ira. Thank you and welcome to the community. And thank you for sounding off on our YouTube comments that you enjoy it.
So mine is like a cross post by Internet Lurker 96 on our Reddit.
Yeah.
And they just posted something talking about what we were saying about, the cult of personality, whether it's Taman, whether it's Taylor Swift. This one is specifically to Taylor Swift. I think there was the fact that she was Spotify's top global artist for 2023. They cross-posted this one thing on Twitter. And recently also I saw people sharing some stats about what it takes to become a 1% fan of Taylor Swift.
Okay.
Top 1%. And I think Edwin Tong is a top 1% fan.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. He shared a screenshot. Wow. And you have to listen to like 10,000 minutes of Taylor Swift. So I mean, the whole cult of personality. Also, I saw in another Reddit comment talking about... this one was just... when Terrence mentions the term cult of personality about Lee Kuan Yew, I immediately think of CM Punk's theme song.
Yeah.
What was that about?
That's his theme song. The name of his theme song.
Cult of Personality.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Of the wrestler CM Punk. Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, just that whole cult of personality thing. At least to see some listener resonate with that. was pretty interesting. Yeah. And what about your one Shiok thing, man?
I got to pull it up, but what's your one Shiok thing first?
So it's a bookstore in London that my wife introduced me to. Basically, it's a bookstore. It's called the Books for Cooks.
Books for Cooks.
Yeah, so it is a bookstore that has just cookbooks lah.
Cookbooks
Yeah,
only.
but what is very interesting is they also have a cafe that prepares recipes from those books. Where
Okay.
you can go and like
Oh, wow.
eat and also learn recipes from those books.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this.
So you guys actually went there? Like,
Oh no. My wife saw this video on the Great Big Story YouTube that came out in June this year, and basically even before you buy the cookbooks, you can try the recipes lah. Because I think what they do is they have like the menus that are curated based on certain things from the books they sell. So I just thought it was a super interesting concept where you have a bookstore that sells cookbooks, but they also cook food from the cookbooks.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'll link a video to the video that talks about this London bookstore, which I thought was a super cool concept lah. Super cool concept. Yeah.
My one Shiok thing is a fan film based on Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. So a fan managed to use I think Unreal Engine to create a fan film of Zelda that's in the style of Studio Ghibli. You know Studio Ghibli? Yeah. So they did a fan film of Zelda in the style of Studio Ghibli. So it's apparently it took over 600 hours for this person to create. It's a labor of love in time for the game's 25th anniversary or so. So yeah, I just thought it was amazing. And a lot of people were commenting that this is what Nintendo should have done now with a franchise, like, work with other Japanese, whether it's animation studios or what, to create something that is very uniquely, that is close to the heart of what Zelda is, right? Created by Nintendo, one of the top IPs on Nintendo, and then work with a Japanese studio to create more IP from there as well. So yeah, but this is so this fan has stepped up to the challenge and created this little fan film, and it's just pretty crazy, because it's one of those things that, like, nowadays people are like, oh, I want to be a content creator, and it's all the same shit, just record videos of yourself talking and just talking about whatever. But this person is really just like, 600 hours to create a fan film that, I mean, I don't know how many people actually view it. Now it's about 500,000 views on IGN, but it's just one of those things like, you don't see much of this kind of people putting 600 hours of time to creating something for themselves.
And you played the game before?
Yeah. Zelda. I mean, Zelda. I play a few of the Zelda games. They're all awesome, but the story is always like, I'm like, whatever the story is, like, kind of cheesy and everything. But I just thought it's really cool that this person, and he enjoyed these two different franchises, right? Studio Ghibli and Zelda, and sort of mashed them together that way.
Solid. And how did you chance upon it?
No, it was. I think IGN was so impressed by it. They got his permission to post it as a IGN thing as well. And it's very rare for, I think, the IGN channel. I don't see them posting a lot of fan content or anything like that.
I see.
So for them to post it, people must have been impressed. Yeah.
Oh, that is cool, man.
Yeah.
Sweet. Awesome. That's the end of the podcast, man. So if you enjoyed it, it'd be great if you could share this with one other person. Follow us on social media. Follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Hit the notification bell so you know whenever we drop a new episode. And if you want to work with us, where should they email, Terrence?
Contact@ministryoffunny.com.
Sweet. All right. Thanks, everybody.
See ya.